So Edward Snowden was interviewed by Brian Williams for the NBC Nightly News, and he laid a couple bombs. I mean, huge breaking news. We've got two clips for you. Let's take a look at the first.
I was trained as a spy in sort of the traditional sense of the word, in that I lived and worked undercover overseas, pretending to work in a job that I'm not, and even being assigned a name that was not mine. But I am a technical specialist. I am a technical expert. I don't work with people. I don't recruit agents. What I do is I put systems to work for the United States. And I've done that at all levels, from the bottom on the ground all the way to the top.
Okay, that seems pretty huge. Nobody knew about this. Even President Obama was saying he was a low-level systems analyst or a low-level hacker. Everyone in the government has been saying that. We're obviously going to hear more about this, but this is huge, right?
I don't know. I don't know that it's huge. It's interesting, and the debate about who Eric Snowden.
That's the fake name.
What's his name?
Edward.
Jesus.
I
find the debate about Edward Snowden interesting. And I like talking about it, but it's not really important. Like, it still only matters what he really. Still only matters what he released, and you know. And what we're going to do about it, like, right. and the debate that comes afterwards. Like, of course, the administration tries to minimize him, so that doesn't really surprise me, you know. And does it again? Suppose that we find out that he should have. That their argument could quickly shift from he's not high enough ranking to know better to now they could go he should have known better. You know. So I mean, I don't. That's why I don't. It's interesting. It's incredibly interesting, but I don't know that it really changes what the most important discussions about this ought to be.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, when you said that he dropped two big bombs, I thought it was because he's eating a lot of Salvadorian food, but that wasn't the case. And I like to look. Brian Williams giving us his serious face, which is nice. Serious. But then he had to take. He didn't do a follow-up because he had to take off. He had an improv class over at the UCB. He had to get to right away.
He's doing a lot of comedy lately.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Snowden.
Yes.
He said he's a spy. Are you surprised?
Yes, because we've been again. What we've been told is that this guy is a low level. And I always said, well, if he's so low level, how come he has access to all this unbelievable information? Right. It turns out because he's a friggin' spy. And you said, but doesn't that make Obama look bad?
So that's right. So before the show, I was saying, well, then how did they let Obama keep going out there and keep saying he's a low-level?
Because that's what they do. They discredit. So whoever gives out information that they don't want to give out, they discredit him, just like they did with Valerie Plame and her husband when he discredited them. So it's just the conspiracies happen right out in the open, and then when someone says, hey, this is a thing that's happening, they just discredit him, and that's exactly what he's saying that they've been doing.
So do you think Obama knew? And then
you
think someone at the CIA?
I think we should maybe wait until we get some. Look, there's going to the United States is going to say something different about what his level of spying was.
Right.
My hunch is that there is probably a way that you can have his, if you're to believe he's a low-level position, if you actually describe. Look, he's a low-level position who, if it is a low-level position, who installed systems for the National Security Administration to keep our secrets safe. Like, it's not like a low-level employee at the Young Turks. I mean, it's not like it's so.
Right, he wasn't a janitor. This low-level stuff was still pretty.
Right, so even like there may not even be a difference in acknowledging what he did. It's just characterizing it. Like the NSA might say, listen, he has 37 people to report to before he got to the head of the NSA, and he'd go, I was essentially a spy. That's why. Like, I already see a conversation devolving nationally about this that then I wouldn't be that interested in. Like, I'm interested in his politics and what motivated him and is he going to get prosecuted? Like, that stuff interests me. Again, none of it is as important as what he released and how we react to that as a country.
Right. So as you're both saying, of course, the government is going to look to discredit him, and he addressed that.
Now, the government might deny these things. They might frame it in certain ways and say, oh, well, you know, he's a low-level analyst. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to use one position that I've had in a career here or there to distract from the totality of my experience, which is that I've worked for the Central Intelligence Agency, undercover, overseas. I've worked for the National Security Agency, undercover, overseas. And I've worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency as a lecturer at the Joint Counterintelligence Training Academy, where I developed sources and methods for keeping our information and people secure in the most hostile and dangerous environments around the world. So when they say I'm a low-level systems administrator, that I don't know what I'm talking about, I'd say it's somewhat misleading.
I'm obviously very pro-Snowden. I'm pro the release of all these documents. There is something slightly cryptic about him, right? And maybe that just comes with the job.
You know, I was watching we watched it together, CNN's take on that. They ran that clip, and the CNN anchor, who I can't identify, but he could play an anchor man on virtually any television show.
He was very professional.
He was very professional. Afterwards, he said, quote, "A lot of energy he's putting into giving a sense of importance to his position. CNN won't take a stand on climate change," right? Right? I mean, they could literally bring someone on the network who will deny that evolution exists, but they'll take a shot at Snowden at the first opportunity. So I think you will see a lot of that. That said, he was really into giving himself a sense of importance. But if you were being minimized by other people, your any person's natural response would be to say, no, you're wrong.
And you're right. We can't get too caught up in the nuance of every little thing he says and how he says it, because that's not what this is really about.
Yeah, so I think that if you're CNN, going back to your point, if you're going to try and discredit Edward Snowden, you have to do it with facts. Like, oh yeah, he said he was a spy. Turns out he wasn't.
Right.
Turns out he said he worked overseas doing this. He didn't. You can't just go, wow, he's putting a lot of energy into trying to look like he's important.
Wow.
Well, did he say what he said was false?
Well,
it was true. Everything he said, he was. So that's what's bullshit about that CNN thing.
The CNN thing was total bullshit. It was a weird bit of editorializing, and there's only one response to this: is you call the DIA and the CIA and the NSA, and you say, what was his job? And they go, we're not telling you. And then you say, by the way, we called these people to see if Snowden was telling the truth, and they wouldn't comment.
Right. So I'm
moving to the next fucking story.
I'm going to guess CNN won't do that, but somebody might do that. So my final thought on this: you think this guy's ever stepping foot in the U.S. again?
No.
Is there any chance? Definitely not.
Maybe if Jimmy Carter's president again.
Yeah, I think he'll step foot in the U.S. Look, I'm going to there is a scenario where he sets foot in the U.S. and he spends a little bit of time in jail. That's worked out. And that's what I'd do. That's how I'd handle it. I'd put him in jail. I've been consistent in that. I wouldn't throw him away. He's not a traitor, right? But you know, some of the things he gave up were things that he shouldn't have given up, because he gave up so much stuff. It turned out there was some stuff in there that probably shouldn't have gone. The NSA stuff is incredibly important, that we all know. Like, I'd put the guy in jail for 3 years, and we'd be done with it. He'd be in a federal. He'd be fine. He'd write a book. He'd be a gazillionaire afterwards.
Right.
Everybody wins.
Sometimes we just do this ourselves. You know, Obama went to Afghanistan the other day, and we accidentally outed one of our own spies by putting him on a list of people that were going to show up at Obama's event. So we do it whether Snowden's doing this or not.
Karl Rove, by the way, goes on Fox News and compares it to Valerie Plame. Says it's worse than Valerie Plame. He did it intentionally and then lies about it on a regular basis.
That's a whole other story. All right.